leadership has been very reflective of integral humanism. So I will certainly highlight, as I'm talking about the integral humanism aspects, to link it with what government is doing. So it is a particularly powerful philosophical framework, which is completely Indian. And this was, after all, in early parts of our India's independence, 1964, 65, 64, actually in the name of principles and policies, Bharatiya Jansangh, which met in Vijayawada, this integral humanism idea was infused in the policy, principles and policy paper, which in the Bharatiya Jansangh meet in Vijayawada 1964, I think it was January. They accepted it as the foundational philosophy with which Bharatiya Jansangh and now we, coming from Bharatiya Jansangh, are fully committed to. So it will be of very significant importance for all of us to please read and familiarize ourselves with this. And I would appeal to each one of you, and I'm very grateful for the organizers for having taken this topic up in the 60th anniversary of the 4-day lecture that Panditji had given in Mumbai. It is our duty to understand what our party's ideology is and how in every action of ours we have to reflect it. And therefore this very important seminar, I think those of you all are here, are immensely blessed to have such concrete, comprehensive discussion on this topic. I'll probably go a bit forward and backward, so I'm not giving you a flow of speech, but because every time linking up with integral humanism, I want to highlight the fact, and Sri Shankaranandji also emphasized, that body, mind, intellect and soul make up for every human being or every creature. And therefore, when integral humanism is being talked about, it is to recognize that these four will have to be in balance. You cannot be too ambitious or too avaricious that you end being an imbalanced individual, because when you do things beyond the framework of Dharma, which is what was emphasized by the previous speaker, there will be an imbalance. And it is that imbalance which causes disruption to any system. Why did communism fail? Why did complete capitalism fail? The emphasis was so distorted. Capitalism was so driven by personal consumption, earn more, consume more, save more, spend more, and repeatedly going on excessive levels of consumption, thereby without having any balance which will bring in sustainability. When you cross limits of sustainability, you end up having exploitative approach to exploiting the natural resources, whether it is water, whether today it is critical minerals. There is just no end to the level of exploitation. And therefore, whether it is capitalism or whether it is state capitalism, as it is called, the communism. Because in 1964, when Panditji was speaking about what exactly will determine our economic philosophy, these were the two dominant forces. Communism coming from USSR and somewhat coming also from China, but China was of less significance in those days. It was more USSR. And capitalism coming from the United States of America or the Western European countries, who were imperial forces. You'll obviously go back to reading about Lokmanya Tilak and others who will tell you what happened during imperialist days. when resources were taken away from countries like India, going off to the imperial capitals. So this asantulan, the imbalance, is dominant in communism, it's dominant also in capitalism. So what does Pandit Deen Dayal suggest for us? He says there has to be an alternative model, which is a decentralized economy. It means that there is a government which is so aggrandized that exploitation happens, monopoly is driven, we cannot take that. So, who lives with ethics, who lives within the framework of dharma, and the collection of individuals who live like that create the Chiti for the nation. And it is that creation of that Chiti for the nation, if invoked with the right level of energy. What is that energy which Panditji refers to as Virat? But that is the collective force with which you are able to lead the world for an alternative between communism and capitalism, both of which are exploitative, and that is not suitable for India. That's the basis of Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyayji's narrative. So I won't go further into detailing, but I just want to underline that he wanted the last person down in at the level of the system's bottommost level to be kept in the mind for all of us to plan, so that it is he who has to be lifted up. Dignity